Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at MS Dynamics World. On this episode, I am here with Jukka Niiranen. Jukka, welcome to the podcast. Great to talk to you again.
Yeah, likewise. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I say again, but I mean, again means going back quite a few years at this point. I mean, as someone who I read frequently and, have I think kept up largely on what you've been up to online, at least. Yeah, it's been too long, I would say. So I'm glad you're here. I mean, for our listeners, could we maybe just have you catch us up a little bit on what you're doing today, and then maybe we can work backwards a bit.
Sure. So today, actually, I've been working for myself now for pretty much exactly a year in my own company, Niiranen Advisory, and been doing a lot of interesting cooperation with people that I might not have previously had the chance to interact with. So I've been working with many different kinds of customers and partners as well. So trying to also get a bit of a handle on the market and the world in general around Power Platform. So before that, I was spent 4 years at a company where I was a co-founder, Forward Forever. So that was actually the first Power Platform consulting company in Finland, in our market here. And there I was pretty much focused on, well, first of all, just doing low code. So I have a Dynamics background, but at that point in time when Power Platform started to become a really thing of its own, then we kind of saw the need for specialists that start things from local perspective and not from traditional Dynamics projects. And that was really an interesting era. I got to kind of really sort of set aside my CRM hat and put on my low-code hat. And I discovered that there was a whole different kind of audience there who was sort of interested in and kind of needed advice and consulting on these tools. They were more on the IT side, and also then business people who were not really the typical end customers or decision makers for Dynamics projects. And that really taught me a lot about, all the things that, or the kind of different ways how you can get value from the tools, whether you call it Power Platform or Dynamics CE or whatever. So it kind of broadened up my perspective quite a lot on what's the kind of how broadly the technology is today used in organizations beyond just the traditional sort of business applications market, where I've been working for well over 10 years in my previous roles as a consultant, and before that also a CRM customer. So it was a great chance for me to take on a new perspective and also kind of formally stop doing CRM, as I also used to have this blog called Surviving CRM for many years. Now I got to sort of put that rest and keep doing things with the same technology, but from a new angle.
Yeah, that's how I remember probably becoming acquainted with you, was Surviving CRM back in that point in time. And I think, like you were saying, you sort of had a traditional, you were working in a traditional partner type of a role, consulting with dynamic CRM customers, right? And I think you were an advocate of XRM when that was sort of the term of the time back then. But you really, I think, my recollection anyway is that when Power Platform sort of emerged as a real sort of supported XRM, something in the spirit of XRM, but actually supported by Microsoft, that you moved fairly quickly to adopt it in your own work. And then, like you said, your previous firm sort of came out of that. But you didn't wait too long to move on that, as I recall. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, at that time I was still Microsoft MVP, and I was in close contact with the product team over the years. And I saw kind of what was I wouldn't call it master plan, but sort of direction where this technology was being kind of spread out into these kind of more mainstream scenarios. And I recall that, I mean, there were many years where it was sort of you could sense when visiting Redmond that there was this debate about, okay, is this going to become a broader thing or not, or is it going to remain just the kind of in the market of Dynamics? And when the Power Apps and Microsoft Flow came out, of course, there was still those were different tools initially. They were not part of, or there wasn't a Power Platform at that time. But then, kind of the sort of the best thing happened for an external person, which was that these things were then united. So there was the new kind of a mainstream market, the kind of office users who discover Power Apps and Power Automate via their existing toolkits, and then combining that with the backend, which I had been working on for over a decade already. So the XRM foundation that is today Dataverse. So I kind of saw that, okay, this is kind of this is my moment to shine now. So I knew that what we can do with these tools, and there was a lot of potential in the offering on the low-code side, which was it was much more powerful than people would realize. So because you got all of the a decade plus worth of investments into the CRM side of Dynamics, and you could now then build your own low-code apps on top of it, and also use all the capabilities, or most of them, from those bigger products. And I think people still today don't really maybe realize that how much you can get with just a Power Apps license. So it remains kind of an area where I love to sort of educate customers and also partners on like how they can make more out of these tools than just the sort of simple kind of citizen dev scenarios that are maybe the typical thing what people think about when they talk about Power Apps.
Yeah, I think you managed to keep a real close eye on what's working and what's not working with the roadmap, with the capabilities, and perhaps with the implementation, with your guidance on implementations. And thinking about what you were saying, the sort of path you followed, I still feel, and you can tell me if you feel like this is accurate or not, but it still seems like there is a bit of a bifurcation in the Power Platform community, at least like, let's take Power Apps just specifically. It seems like to me, I still, from the outside, see people like you who kind of came from the CRM side and people who came from, let's say, either pure development or SharePoint or some other background, that there's still a bit of a bifurcation in the Power Apps sort of community between those people, and even maybe the way the product is evolving, that it seems to evolve. And I mean, obviously there's still model-based, capabilities, and I know it's blurred a little bit, but and you maybe have written about this, that it hasn't blurred as much or hasn't sort of integrated perhaps as much as you might have thought this many years into the product's evolution. I don't know. Do you still sense that, or is that maybe my own sort of lens that I look through where I think about history?
Yeah, I do agree that it's still kind of often obvious that from which perspective people are looking at the platform. And you're right that some of the more ambitious plans that Microsoft had for unifying the different app experiences, for example, or then replacing all of the workflow features with Power Automate. So it hasn't really gone exactly according to plan there. So there's been some sort of inertia there that keeps the existing solutions and people in working with the kind of the tools that already are in place and tools that they know, and often for a good reason. So there's kind of this what I tend to often refer to as how Microsoft keeps reimagining things. So they launch maybe new kind of brands or user experiences on top of the stack and say that, okay, this is now kind of the future. This now combines things. Is the unified whatever experience now. But then you always kind of see that there are the kind of edge cases, or not even edge cases, but you often can just do 80% of the stuff you need with the new tools, and you always have to go then and switch to classic. So get back to those kind of more sort of mature tooling that has been built in a different era, and then rely on those when you are putting together a complete end-to-end solution. And I think this is for people who haven't been with a platform for as long as I have, then it can be very jarring, the experience there, when you need to kind of either jump into a totally different world and experience there, or then you're not even aware of it because it's kind of too far for you to reach out and understand that these are part of the same product, or that we would have the kind of licensing available for us to leverage these parts of the platform. So yeah, it's kind of the legacy of the platform is both a blessing and a curse. So blessing in the sense there's so much, really solid stuff there in the platform, but then you cannot just reimagine things from a clean slate and build it in a way where there would be no sort of dependencies to the old way of doing things, or the things that have already been built for customers.
Yeah, I think it sounds like in some ways you yourself end up becoming a bit of a helping people navigate through the sort of historical context of where the technology has come from, and as opposed to, like you said, the very latest. One example that maybe jumps out to me is the Copilot-based visualizations in Power Apps that I think you wrote about recently. And
yeah.
that it can build fairly straightforward visualizations of charts, essentially, right? Based on data. But that, is that maybe an 80%, one of those, it doesn't get you as far as the traditional, but it does it in a new way?
Yeah, I think it's a great example of how sort of the basic building blocks have been invented already a long time ago, but now there's then a new layer added there where there's sort of a good reason why they are rebuilt with modern technologies, or rebuilt to be available via kind of Copilot-driven chat experiences. It does make sense when you kind of know the history, and when you can look at the sort of broader stack that Microsoft is building. But then from kind of when you are the app user or maker who's building things, then it can seem like sort of where actually the gaps are, where do you need to jump over into a different experience or product, then they can be really surprising to people who don't have as long experience, or who don't know that why are the kind of limits here, why can I not do this, and sort of why is then for example, why can't I yet sort of fully go to the new experiences? Well, because there are then parts of the maybe core application features that you are going to need from the old side. So yeah, that's kind of the cycle of how features are rolled out today. It's so much faster compared to what it was even 10 years ago, and we don't really have that much of a kind of a long-term roadmap of seeing that's what's coming in the next 2 years, for example, because I don't think that even Microsoft product team knows about that. But there's kind of also then the unfortunate downside there, that the consistency of building out those features, making them more advanced, more comprehensive. It doesn't seem like it's very sort of the long-term thinking there behind making these features mature is, especially now with the age of Copilot, it's sort of being kind of put on hold for many of those features, and now we are kind of it feels at times that Microsoft is trying to just throw paint at the wall and see what it sticks when it comes to these user experiences, and what's going to be needed for sort of making the agentic AI visions come to life in the end.
Yeah, and I also wonder on that same point, from a resourcing perspective at Microsoft, how much have they added R&D on top of what they had already committed to for D365 apps, for Power Platform services, and how much have they added to it versus how much have they reassigned people, right? To and that in terms of, I'm thinking of, basically how much can they get done? Are they just do they have to put certain things to the side that were in the plans in order to fulfill some of these agent-based specifications, or are they bringing more and more people into the team to try to do both? My suspicion is that it's more that they're reallocating people more than anything, but I'm not in there. I don't know for sure, but it's certainly something I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I recently had a bit of a look at the ideas sites for where customers can suggest features and vote on the ideas of others of what kind of improvements there should be in the products. And looking at the data, it was obvious that, I mean, there's some of the ideas that are in the databases there, they've been migrated into the latest idea sites that were taken into use for just 2 years ago. But then today, no one is really actively kind of keeping up with the feedback from the customers that are kind of asking for improvements to be made, investments to be made into existing features, how to make the thing that already exists better. So I think that's a clear sign of the fact that it has a very narrow budget there currently. Those kind of enhancements that cannot be linked to the sort of prime directive of what Charles Lamanna and Satya are giving to their teams.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to step back just a bit in terms of your own sort of involvement in the Microsoft community. You were an MVP for about, was it 10 years or somewhere thereabouts?
11 years, actually.
11, okay. And I think, my recollection is I think I started, reading your stuff and maybe even interacting with you a bit kind of before you became an MVP, and then you became an MVP, had a long run, and now you're not anymore. Can you talk about that, maybe about that life cycle now that you're back on the non-MVP side of things? Has that changed anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, the both the experiences, both that 11 years definitely changed a lot, and then now being able to sort of not sort of be actively part of that kind of a formal program has definitely also been a important and welcome change there. I'd say that I mean, well, people of course know that it takes a lot of community activity and spending your own time there to help the community to gain the award initially. So it was 2013, I guess, when I got the first award, and so I had been at that time already blogging actively for many years, and Twitter had been a place where I then discovered many community members across the globe who were sharing their own content there, and it became a great way to network. And at that moment, when I then gained the official access to those sessions with product groups and getting to MVP summits and all that, of course, that gave me an exponentially larger network of people to interact with, and it was a kind of the not just that, but also then when you had the chance to be in these NDA discussions with the product teams, then I was able to kind of learn to see things from via their eyes as well, see what kind of mechanisms and kind of processes exist there in the remnant side, which gave a lot of good sort of balance into things about why things are going the way they are or what's being prioritized. So it was always the most sort of most valuable thing was kind of recalibrating your thoughts with the other MVPs, how they see the world, and then combining that with the knowledge that you gain from those kind of confidential, non-public interactions with the product teams. There was so much to be gained from that. And throughout the years, I, of course, then tried to incorporate as much of that those insights into my blog post and community work and all that. Plus, as mentioned, also the kind of pivoting to low code, to Power Platform. It was sort of a result from being there and seeing the kind of evolution of the technology. So yeah, it's there's so much you can get from a program like that, but of course it then demands a lot from you as well in return, and not merely just the kind of not just the contributions that you have to do there. So as you many probably know, there are when you're an MVP, then you sort of need to tell Microsoft about all the things you have been doing for the community throughout the year, and then you are renewed or not based on how well you are still kind of how valuable you still are to the community. And it wasn't really ever maybe the problem that I would have not sort of wanted to do the community engagement because I love to write. It's a way for me to really think and to sort of exist in the world in a way. But then sort of the number of different kind of interactions and channels and the way how it kept the kind of working mode always on, that became really a challenge in the long run. You kind of saw that just like with the kind of number of products and apps and tools, there's just always more things ahead. It's really hard to sort of then set limits for yourself in that kind of an environment, or at least it was for me. So it was difficult to like just decide that okay, I'm not going to now pay attention to this discussion or this information that I have access to. So that was kind of a conflicting moments that I went through there, and at some point then I started thinking that okay, if I again get renewed this year and the next year, then kind of like what is there for me to sort of still kind of achieve an experience. And the kind of end result was that I realized that it was just going to be more of the same in many ways for me if I just kept on doing what I've been always doing. So it kind of led me to the decision that it's in my own interest. It was best to sort of set a goal that okay, after this the coming renewal in was it 23 that on the following term I would then no longer apply for the award. So I made that decision and talked about that with my colleagues and some fellow MVPs, and sort of started that long process of then kind of detaching myself from the program gradually. And here I am now. I'm on the other side. I've been non-MVP for, well, close to a year now, and it's been good.
Yeah, I would say you seem to write as much as ever, and I don't know the timing exactly. Did this coincide with you starting your own firm or your current firm with the MVP detachment process? Is the timing aligned there?
Well, not directly with it, but it's sort of this also like going solo has now given me sort of permission to control a bit more about what I do and how much I do. Mm-hmm. So it has been kind of part of a similar sort of a recovery program from the many years when it was very intensive in many fronts in my life. So that's kind of been now it's been a clear way to like then reclaim some time that I saw that wasn't really kind of it wasn't necessary for me to kind of do it in order to keep sort of being what I am. So as you mentioned, I still write a lot. Actually, around a year ago, I wasn't really sure that if I kind of wanted to also sort of put that on hold a bit. I had been writing on my blog and then the company blog quite a lot, but I took a bit of a break from that and kind of reevaluated that. Okay, is it for the good, or is it doing me more harm by kind of focusing energy on that kind of activities? And in the end, I discovered that when I then started my newsletter, sort of replacing the the old blog that I had maintained. So I kind of found a new format and a new way to sort of to to cover things, and it was kind of a fresh start for me to see that okay, if I would kind of start over again with some new kind of channels, then what would it be like? And I realized that okay, this really is something that I still love to do very much. It's very important for me to be able to share my thoughts through my keyboard, because that's how I can then kind of refine them into coherent thoughts, and like also kind of see myself what I'm thinking. So it's a way to reflect on the things that I encounter during the day and put them into context. So very important for me, and I've been lucky to also then get a lot of great readers and good feedback for my newsletter. So it's been another important sort of a new start in a way.
One thing I do wonder when I read your stuff, and it's great, I always really appreciate your perspective, is how much of it either reflects your work with clients or is then discussed in interactions with your clients, or how separated are your online thoughts and your direct sort of customer based work?
Well, yeah, it's hard to, of course, like identify how, because I don't really these days write that much about the how to do X kind of things. So those, of course, used to
Right.
be more sort of they were an important source of blog traffic for sure. I mean, that's what people are searching for on the internet, or used to be searching before AI, searching for answers on how to do X with tools from Microsoft. But so those often came from some real scenario where I had then either received a question from customer or had to build something for them. But lately, I've been in my newsletter, especially now, focusing on just kind of providing not the step-by-step instructions, but more of the perspective on things. So, how do things relate to other concepts and phenomena in the world? And so, it's now probably less directly involved with the sort of customer projects or other sort of offline interactions than it might have been before.
So I did want to talk about one topic in particular that I know I think you'll be exploring at in an upcoming presentation you'll be doing, right? Because I think maybe this was one of my ideas for even suggesting this conversation, was that you'll be at the DynamicsMinds event this year, right? And you'll be presenting a new session there.
Yeah, so I've heard a lot of good things about DynamicsMinds conference from many of the MVPs and community activists, and so then when I got a chance to then attend it this year and submitted a topic on the one thing that I have consistently loved to cover over the years, which is licensing, and not that the topic itself would be so. Let's say that the reason I love it is because not many people talk about it. Not people are sort of afraid to approach the commercial aspects of Power Platform licensing and Dynamics licensing, because it's so sort of different from the factual technical world of solutions. It's oftentimes requires reading between the lines, which is what I've been doing when it comes to the product roadmaps and other, let's say, events in the ecosystem. And I find that kind of through those kind of observations that I do, and like how I work on information, how I can combine things in my mind, then it's a great it applies really well for these licensing questions. So I've sort of assumed the role throughout the years of being the one guy who is not afraid to talk about licensing, and of course I cannot ever like say that whatever I tell about it or write about it is 100% accurate with what the terms are that Microsoft is isn't sort of imposing on customers. But if you look at the amount of information that's publicly available about these topics, then there's not much out there. Which is why I think that it's always motivates me to then sort of dive into these problems and scenarios that haven't really been explored in depth by others, but which still do often create lots of questions when talking one to one with people, be it customers or partners. Then they are often asking about those kind of topics, which are then sort of can be also considered a bit delicate to be covered in public. But I decided that okay, I'll keep on doing what I've done before and go and talk about the facing your demons in Power Platform licensing, which is going to be my topic for the DynamicsMind conference session.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't love to use the word taboo because that has certain connotations to it, but it almost fits that definition of something that is taboo. People think about it a lot. They want to talk about it. If you do raise it, a lot of people will show up. I think you've seen that, I'm sure, at different conference environments, that if there is a licensing session, it draws well because people do think about it. Anything you can give us about maybe some of the themes you'll be talking about or something people will learn when they attend this particular session?
Well, I haven't really put down the kind of final agenda there yet. I'm kind of collecting maybe materials about what are then going to be sort of the big demons there. But of course, things like multiplexing and app contexts. I mean, especially those kind of separation between Power Apps and Dynamics when working with a platform that is technically the same. Those are usually kinds of questions that also Microsoft is very hesitant to provide written answers to, because they treat it as two different things. There's two different licensing guides, one for Power Platform, one for Dynamics, and there's hardly any written material then on the sort of reality of what customers are facing, which means that they have both. The people who are using Dynamics, then today there's going to be increasingly also the citizen developer solutions and low-code apps being built on the same sort of a foundation. And when I was working previously a lot with helping customers to figure out the governance model for Power Platform, then that also was and gave me some great insights into kind of the different roles of it's in the same tenant you're going to have very different kinds of app makers, developers building things, and some might be called Dynamics, then others are maybe just done with the free Power Apps licenses. But there in the middle, there should be someone who actually can sort of see the whole 360 of that of those solutions and understand, okay, what do we are we in compliance, and what would be a way to optimize our licensing, how to prepare for things like storage capacity or API calls. So there's so many interesting sort of kind of dimensions into it when you are sort of in that, if you're really a platform admin and not just the kind of owner of a specific application like sales or marketing or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine there are customers that are seeing every variation of that kind of scenario, from pure Power Platform to interaction between, like you said, pre-built apps with then their Power Platform strategy as well. Well, I wanted to change topics a little bit here because we've danced around it a bit, but it's something else that you've written about, and I would love to get your input on. When you work with customers today, what's your perception of their view of Microsoft's Copilot and AI agent approach so far? I know you have opinions about it and you've written about that, but can you tell us any more about sort of how you see it sort of evolving in the real world?
Yeah, well, first of all, one interesting statistics that I saw about the adoption of Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses in our market was that in Europe, Finland, I think, was at some point in time the second biggest country in terms of number of seats sold, and we are a very small country, so it's been sort of readiness for companies around here to adopt or at least purchase those licenses has been pretty high. They've been interested in trying it out, but then because the problem really comes from I think the fact that this AI thing is not a product that you can buy. It's of course in a way the same thing applies to CRM. It's not never been a systems project alone, but here I think that the in the minds of customers, it's still very sort of unclear on what they should be doing with AI, and it's in a way the how Microsoft is now packaging then Copilots into their existing offering or alongside it. It's a very safe and clear way for organizations to be open to the use of generative AI and in a way also like proactively expose the users into those kind of new capabilities. What can the computer do today that they couldn't do a few years ago? But it's pretty much still in that exploration stage with many of the people that I've discussed with. So it hasn't really, if you think about it from the kind of a business application perspective, I don't really see that many situations yet where I could say that, hey, instead of building an application, should we just do a Copilot for this, as an example? And we keep hearing from Charles Lamana and Satya that Copilot is the UI for AI, and still then at the same time I'm having a hard time to like see that customers or that yeah I mean does anyone else yet see it that way, or do they see Copilot as just a sidebar there in the UI where they can chat about things? So I feel that it hasn't really doesn't have the kind of a central stage yet in the sort of everyday reality of customers' business applications today, as Microsoft would like to, or how they want to present it in their sessions at events.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I won't go too far into my views on it, but I think it's one of the big sort of organizational change management challenges. I'm not sure if challenges is the right word, but issues or inflection points here. It's like, can you really, if you're Microsoft, can you, or some of the other big enterprise software vendors out there, can you really sort of bend customers to your will of using, like you said, an AI a totally new interface that's all about AI and that essentially aims to, over time, do away with traditional business applications as we know them, which seems to be the vision long term. I mean, I don't think anyone's suggesting that's going to happen soon, but is that even realistic? To me, that's one of the big questions. And step by step, I guess we'll see as more of these capabilities reach GA, and a lot of them are still previews, even after all this talk. So.
Yeah, can you even sort of if you have a Gen AI tools, then they will never be 100% repeatable or reliable. And so what does it even then mean that a service is GA in this day and age? It's so different. And I kind of see also, if we think about the kind of traditional way of business applications consulting, when you go and build specific solutions for customers based on the specifications and processes that have been mapped out, and then the system should kind of deliver exactly that. But then if we are using generative AI and agents in there, which are not really going to be 100% doing what we tell them to, so what kind of that kind of challenges the kind of the roles of partners who are building things. We have to kind of like assume a new role where we are kind of on the same side of the table with the customer, and then AI is on the other side, and we're trying to make it work. Because it cannot really be then, we can't really realistically in most cases be doing much of training for those models. We kind of have to see that, okay, what this technology is good for, connected with those data sources that we wanted to sort of talk with, and then hope for the best, which is not really a good situation to be in if you are then going to some processes that involve actual monetary transactions. Then is it going to be good enough that it sort of most of the times it works?
Mm-hmm. And I think on the other side of it, sort of what is it asking of the people who are supposed to use it? Like, what is it asking of them that we don't ask of them today? Is it asking less of them? Is it asking something that they prefer to get their work done, to help their businesses or organizations, sort of take care of the things they need to accomplish? Does it offer that in a more compelling way? So, I think time will tell on that. But I think that's the big challenge. I think that's what everyone thinks about when they see some of these things. And, as we talk today, I mean, I think the last sort of biz apps related AI thing was some of this new sales agent, sales chat, which I was just looking at, and maybe you were too. But I think that's, from my view, Microsoft is pushing forward on the idea that agents will do more human style work and allow companies to have the option of, basically moving that away from what people typically do and give it to agents. In that case, like sales agent, some of the concepts of it are that it will help close deals. It will reach out. It will try to communicate with, at least in theory. To be honest, I haven't seen much of a demo of it, but from the words they're using, that seems to be kind of the direction they're hoping it'll go.
And you kind of have to sort of reach a level for the market expectations to make sense. Because if you're just improving the productivity of information workers, helping them read emails faster, write emails faster, and all that, then is that going to be sort of a big enough thing? And of course, it's not. But that's been the kind of easy, the low-hanging fruit for someone like Microsoft to really implement today. And it's kind of logical that we are in that phase right now. But I think that's sort of then assuming that if we 1 year ago, we reached that level with Copilot in the Office tools, and this year we're supposed to be doing the AI agents that are now going to be autonomous to some extent. I think we are kind of pushing it a bit too fast into that kind of territory, and not because it's not only just about could we make the AI tools reliable enough? Can we provide the monitoring there? But people and organizations are going to be much slower to really adapt into those kind of models of ways of working. It's not once again, it's not really a challenge of whether technology can do something, but how to then really make everybody comfortable with the fact that there are agents involved in processes where we used to be dealing with humans and their computers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I know you've written and been looking at a lot of things. I mean, we haven't covered several things I wanted to talk about, but in the interest of time, I was wondering if there was anything else that's in particular on your mind that you think you'll be spending a lot more time focused on, maybe in the next, 3 months, 6 months, that you think people should be paying attention to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's I've been sort of allowing myself to explore new areas quite a lot. One area being security when it comes to the rise of the AI agents, because I was working, as mentioned, a lot with the low-code application governance side, thinking about what kind of security and monitoring measures should be in place to make it safe for makers of all kinds to build applications on the Power Platform. And now we are then moving into the era where the same platform also powers the Copilot Studio agents, and the same connectors are now feeding data not just into applications and flows, but also to the AI agents who are then reading and responding into that data through those channels. And there, the kind of I've been trying to sort of raise awareness on the risks of things like prompt injection. So when we can, for example, when our agents start to read the incoming emails for a company, what happens when some malicious actor sends an email with some of their own instructions to such an agent, or other places where documents can contain then instructions that are going to be modifying what the copilot will answer to the users. Those are really topics that from the kind of start of this sort of era of LLMs, it's been obvious that they are not issues that can be just we can like wait for a bit better model to come along and fix the issue, but rather these kind of things are sort of inherent features of those models. So just like hallucinations are a feature of LLMs, it's all they do. So trying to like expect that, okay, maybe it will this year become fully reliable and it will stop lying to you. Well, that's not going to happen. We are going to have those kind of those qualities will be part of these tools until something really new is discovered then in the field of AI research, the next breakthroughs. So I have been kind of paying attention to the security and governance side of how you can guard your copilots better, and I think I'll keep paying attention to that and sort of bring up also the issues about these kind of gaps that are sort of exist in the tooling today, but which don't yet have a very prioritized solution. So Microsoft is, of course, they are very actively building commercial offering around security tools. And with Purview and all these things, they are kind of seeing also both the need and the business opportunity for it. But it's maybe something that, especially if you come from the area of these internal business applications, if you are a Dynamics person or you're working with Power Apps, it's always been just really internal data mostly. But now with AI agents, we are kind of like exposing those tools also to the outside world through some channels or through some intermediaries. And that to me is a very interesting area to keep an eye on. So what the organizations like OWASP and others are publishing this kind of their own top 10 sort of security issues or gaps there to pay attention to. I think translating that into kind of the language of the business app makers and the people who administer and sort of guard these systems, that's going to be an area that's where I see that it's luckily has also drawn in attention from let's say these proper security researchers. They are now pay attention to the Power Apps and other tooling a lot more because it's also powering the copilots. So that's a big market. It's probably going to also get some third-party solutions there alongside the things that Microsoft can push there. And it's a brand new area for me. I don't have any like cybersecurity background or training, but I feel that in this day and age we have to like think a bit broader about those kind of threats that the new business applications, the new agents are going to be sort of making us think of.
Before we wrap up here, can you just remind people how they can follow you? I think LinkedIn is obviously one way, but you've also been running, like you said, sort of a new, I guess you call it a blog, right? Is it a Substack as well?
It's a newsletter on Beehive. So yeah,
okay, Beehive.
What's the difference between a blog or newsletter? Where there's differences are subtle.
Yeah, I wonder.
There's so perspectives.plus is the domain for the newsletter, and I recently started now writing it on a weekly basis. So there's also a option for the premium subscribers to get a weekly email through that. But there's also lots of free content coming there. So yeah, that's kind of my main place where I these days write my thoughts down and distribute them to the world. But of course, I also then share them on LinkedIn quite a lot, and I've been then also trying to be active on the new channels like Blue Sky and Mastodon. So I've always been kind of a social media addict, and try to make most of those channels. So you can definitely find me there as well.
Yeah, it seems like the social media world is really in flux right now. Maybe a topic for a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I try to follow you across those different places where I pay attention to. So great. Yeah, we'll put a bit of a link in there. I can't recommend to our readers enough that they follow your writings. You always have great takes on things, and I've always appreciated it. So yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thanks a lot for having me. It was a great discussion.
This has been another episode of the MSDW podcast. My thanks once again to Jukka for joining. For information on the DynamicsMinds event where Jukka will be presenting, as well as all the references back to Jukka's own site and activities, please check out the links in the show notes. And that's it for this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can send me an email, jason@msdynamicsworld.com. For all of our updates, you can follow us on LinkedIn. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.